All right, step 2, here we go. Video 2, we're ready to go. This is step 2. It's going to be about developing your offer. So let's get a pen and pad out because this is really critical. Now that we understand the system, you're going to start putting together your website and structure. And then we're going to get into step 2 now, which is really understanding what are we selling? What are we doing to get to this 20K? And if you remember, the video that really started this off was the intro, is that we're looking to generate, we'd like to get around that $2,000 a year point, $2,000 a year, because we know that 500 people at $2,000 a year or $166 a month is a $1 million business. We talked about that in the first video. That 500 people, which so many people think I need a lot of people. For us to get to 20K, we don't need that, right? If 500 is that, we cut it in half. 250 is a $500,000 business, and 125 at $166 a month is a $250,000 business. Just 125 people, okay? Everybody that's watching this has the ability, okay, let's talk about that, if you have some expertise and knowledge in your life, okay, that you've done something in your life, that you've put your energy out there and you've learned skills, you've learned something that you can transfer those skills or transfer that knowledge. So everybody has that ability to do that, okay? We're going to learn all about that. Okay, so what do we have to do? Well, the first step is you're going to hear me talk about IP a lot in the development of your IP, okay? Your IP is, and it doesn't have to get cute like this, but Morning Coach was my first initial IP, intellectual property that's mine. I own Morning Coach. I am known as the Morning Coach. I own Get It Done Now. I own Intelligent Life Design. These are concepts, Sacred Six, which is behind me in Italian. These are concepts that I came up with over years, which you're going to learn in step 5, the feedback loop. Okay, it started off as Morning Coach and then evolved into other areas, which generates residual income. This one right here has generated the residual income that I'm teaching in the blueprint for year after year after year, since 2009, okay? So that's what I want to go over is understanding your IP. So how do we get to understand your IP and what are we offering? So we have this Kajabi site, which we're going to start building out as a website for us, right? And we're going to start doing some IP stuff in there. And I'm going to talk about podcasting, why I love it, and not video podcasting, okay? There's a place for that, but we're not going to talk about that here. I use audio, which is 100 times easier than video, but we're going to talk about how you start. So the first initial offer is, and I'm going to draw a person here, it's not going to be the best, one-on-one, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on putting our IP out into the marketplace. So for example, when I started, it could be coaching, consulting, any type of teaching that you do. There's a lot of people that do this with musical instruments. There's a lot of coaches that do this. You don't have to be a coach. You just have to have a body of knowledge. Think about it this way. If you're a yellow belt or a blue belt, let's say in the belt system in a martial art, you can teach a white or yellow belt if you're a blue belt because you know what they need to know to get to the next level. You don't always have to be the black belt. So your body of knowledge is what's so critical that we're going to be working with. And as you start doing the blueprint, if you've got questions with this, just make sure you reach out and we can start to discuss you and what you do. And a lot of this has to do with personal evolution and development. Look, my biggest blessing is that I've had to do Morning Coach every single day because as I've grown, I couldn't have done this when I started. I wasn't even making this now, but now this is like a no-brainer for me. It's easy for me to teach it. So as you grow and develop, you have these things. And in step 5, when we get to step 5, we're going to talk about the feedback loop where you can find more and more. But right now, I just want you to be thinking about if you had one person in front of you, what would you teach them? Do you already have your book? Have you written a book? A lot of people watch us have. Maybe you're a speaker, right? A lot of people are speakers. Maybe you're an expert. Maybe you've got some degrees in particular areas. Maybe you're a nurse and you want to do health. There's so many areas. Maybe you want to do leadership. Maybe you want to bring people together in your spirituality. There are many different ways. So the way we start is one-on-one. One-on-one. What can I teach you? What can I teach you? And there's a very simple process that I use when I'm dealing with one-on-ones. Now, a lot of people say, do you still do one-on-ones? I do. I still do one-on-ones. Why? Because of this process. I want to keep one-on-ones. My one-on-ones are residual. I've had clients 19 years, okay? I just had a client pass away a couple of years ago. My first client paid me $2,000 a month for almost, is about 17 years because he passed away a couple years ago. And what's crazy is I was coaching his son for another $1,000. So that family was paying me $3,000 a month for almost, with him for almost, 17 years. And then the son 3 years. So if you add that up over the time, that's a residual income that pays a lot of bills. Now that's coaching, and I'm not here to tell you to coach. I'm just telling you that was my first client, and that's how long I worked with him until he passed away. And I'm generational. I'm in the second generations within Morning Coach. So I have people that literally started with me, and now their kids are listening involved with me. I love that, and it's proof that these models work. So we start off one-on-one, and when I talk to somebody, I'm always learning. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, tell me about your problems. So it's like, problems. Tell me about your problems. This whole system is built on being able to find problems. You're solving problems. Value, business. Let's just talk about business. Business is solving problems, getting paid for it. That's all it is. Finding out a way to problem. There are some entertainment aspects of business. We're not going to get into that. But we're talking about problems. So tell me about your problems. That's step one. Step two is I reconfirm those problems. Wow, you have problems. You have problems, okay? So if I was meeting with you, I'd say, tell me about your problems. Wow, you have problems. At that point, I got a decision to make. As a true person of this blueprint, I've got a decision. Can I help them or can I not? At that point, it's going to cross. Can I help them? If I can't, I either refer them to somebody else or I'm honest. I can't help you. Do not be that person that says, I can help you when you can't. And you're going to know if you can or you can't. Like if somebody came to me and said, I'm depressed, can you hold me accountable to make sure I do the work that's in front of me? No. No way would I ever do that. Have nothing to do with accountability. I'm dealing with people that are making millions. I'm dealing with you to get you to 250,000 plus a year. I don't have time to handhold somebody. That is not what I'm going to do. If you want that, I'm the wrong person, right? And I run away from that. But if you say, okay, hey, I'm looking to, I've got a problem. I need to create some residual income. I've got this expertise. I wrote a book. A couple people read it. I'm trying to speak. Things aren't working. Can you help me? Of course. Of course. The next step is then, how much is it worth? How much? I ask, how much is it worth to you? Okay? How much is it worth to you? Because I want you to be thinking about, wow, if that problem is solved, that's going to be it's going to be worth a lot of money to me. Okay? Which leads me to my fourth question, and that is, okay, let's get started. And I usually do two choices. Do you want to pay $1,000 a month or do you want to pay $10,000 a month, depending on what we're doing? Typically, my programs are very simple. I don't do much one-on-one anymore. But when I do productivity and planning, if I do work with somebody short time, it'll be $1,000 a month. If I do business coaching, it can be anywhere from $2,000 to $100,000 a month. Okay, it just depends on what we're working on. But because I'm such a good expert at my systems and I need somebody to speed them up, sometimes I'll just do it $1,000. Now, with that being said, my one-on-one clients are usually long-term residual-based one-on-one clients. Remember, this is a residual marketing plan. We got I think it's 18 to 21. I've lost count income streams right now. We can go through that through the ILD process, but that's not what this blueprint is. I need to get you free, and that's why we started with 20K. So as you get out there, what you need to do is start finding problems. Tell me about your problems. Very simple. I go meet a group of people. I just say, tell me your problems. As long as there's edification, meaning I've either spoke to them or somebody's told them who I am, I just go in the group and tell me about your problems. Okay, wow, you do have problems. Sometimes they even swear. Wow, damn, you got problems. Now, I can help you with those problems. What would it be worth to you? What would it be worth to you? Okay, and a lot of times people won't answer, just sit there quietly, but at least I got them thinking about the value. Okay, $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is, that's what we're going to do. It's a very simple process. In fact, watching this part of the blueprint right here, if you just do this, it's worth all the time and money and anything you ever invested in me. That process works. It's fail-safe. It will get you more yeses and you will start to succeed and starting to bring in one-on-one business. And again, why do we want one-on-one business? Because we're going to listen to the problems, and that's what we're going to create our IP with over time. The intellectual property is going to come from our one-on-ones. That's why it's great to always have one-on-ones. okay? It's really important to have one-on-ones, really critical. So what I want you to do then is be thinking about, okay, first step, one-on-ones. Now this, and again, I want to just put this out there because it drives me nuts. Everybody wants to sit behind the computer and make money, and they go right to the website, right? So a lot of people, what they'll do is they're like, I want to build a residual business. So I'm going to build a click funnel or a landing page or something, and they're going to go right to the website. And we're going to build an email list, and we're going to get a bunch of people to buy this. And I'm telling you, most of those people fail. There's a few people that have succeeded at that, but the majority of the people fail. Why? Because they're trying to do the cold market first. You've got to work with people that know you, like you, and trust you. That's why you go one-on-one. Then you go groups, my little people here, right? And then you go to the web. But everybody's trying to do it the other way, and it gets all messed up. People get frustrated and quit. They don't build the residual income. Okay? So I want you to be, we're going to get to the web, but you've got to understand what core problems do you solve. And if you can't do it with one person, how are you going to do it with a community that we build later? So let's focus on the one-on-one. That's the first process of this. Then we go to groups. I just draw the circles, the groups. We take what we're learning in the one-on-ones. Now we've got consistency in what we're learning. All those problems that you keep hearing, you're starting to hear results. When we get to step 5, I'm going to talk about the feedback loop. That's absolutely mind-blowing. Okay, that's in the 5th video. But as you're doing this, now you got a group of people. Now you're listening to groups. Do you see how this works? Okay, look, anybody that tells you that you're going to make 20K residual, $250,000 business overnight is insane. Okay, show me, teach me, you bring them to me. This takes time. But if you're willing to invest that 2 to 5 years to really put time into this, it's the best business in the world. I mean, I got volunteers that run a lot of my business. It is amazing. I did my MBA. I talked about that, and I study business models. I have yet to find a better business model except maybe exiting, meaning building a business in 3 to 5 years and then exiting it. This is something I'll do the rest of my life because it's about you. It's your greatness. It's your knowledge. Okay? So we get to one-on-one, then we go to the group. Now we've got our group, and we're listening. Again, what are we doing? We're listening. Now, in the residual standpoint, okay, in the residual aspect of this, what I do is I have group coaching or small masterminds, okay? So I like the $500 a month price point. I love it. So if you think about it, if we're trying to get to 20K, okay, 20K, and you have 3 clients at $1,000 a month, I don't know why this pin's not working that good. And now all of a sudden, you've just got to get to 17K, right? So you just got to get to 17K. So then if you start a group coaching program and you put 20 people in there at 500, now you got 10K, okay? We're getting there. You could see how the residual's coming with just 23 people. You're getting there and slowly building. So this is a group coaching situation. So now, at that point, you got 13,000 coming in. I mean, we're close to our 13 to 15K, which is better than most jobs pay. Okay, most even C-suite jobs. Yeah, you can get some higher ones, but now you're at 130. You're making about 150,000 a year between the group coaching and the individual coaching. There's no reason to do more than that. I mean, obviously we want to make more money, but this is going to start getting us there. So we've got group coaching and we've got the one-on-one. So what is our offer? Our offer is first one-on-one. That's our offer. So they go to the website. You can do all this in Kajabi. They can go on a residual monthly. And by the way, my coaching has no contracts, okay? Can cancel at any time. Why? Because I believe in my systems, and you'll learn that in step 5 in the feedback loop, how I can be so confident. Somebody wants a refund, I just give it to them. Never had that happen. It's pretty crazy. Some of my lower level stuff, but my high-end clients, I've never had a refund. Most people don't even leave. I've had some very successful people say, JB, I'm doing great. I'm retiring. And they've said, hey, I don't need you anymore. I have some people that are still paying me that have been with me for years that just call me once every 3 months. I call it the trusted advisor system. So they are paying me to be there if they need me, and I'm on a retainer. So this stuff works. Again, that's more coaching, but you can do consulting. Once you understand the problems you solve, it can be applied to pretty much anything. Consulting, coaching, education, teaching, and we'll go into some of that as we get deeper into this blueprint. Obviously, I can only cover so much because there's so much to this. We're talking about a real business. This is some fly-by-night thing. This is a real business that you can work 3 to 4, maybe 6 hours a week, which is amazing to me, and have a great life. And not only that, support and educate people along the way. And I'm not even talking about like speaking and writing books. We'll get into some of that. This is just the base model, okay? And we're going to get into the web stuff where we start talking about what I do, which is podcasting and paid podcasting, which I've done for 19 years, which creates another leg of this table, which is very strong. But we need to start here. Now, I will mention cohorts, okay? Cohorts is something new, which is kind of as done for you. We do them now, and I do have coaches that I have working with me that I have cohorts. But a cohort is like a 4-week program, okay? And we charge between $297 to $1,000 for those. Those are one-time payments. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is I don't want you to think about that right now, but basically what it is a 4-week implementation structure. So when I'm doing productivity, it gives people a jump start. And so it's just something I want you to keep in your mind as you're working. Do you have a 4-week intro program into the problems that you solve? Again, where do you get this? You get this from the one-on-ones. You get this from talking to people, solving problems, understanding what they're doing, and then going into the group. As we get into the internet stuff, I'm going to start breaking down. Again, I've done this for almost 20 years, so there's so many processes. Don't get tripped up with funnels. Don't get tripped up with internet marketing. Simplify this. That's the key. So if you just had one-on-ones, group coaching, and we're running cohorts to bring people in, you would be golden. You do that for 1 year, all of a sudden you're building a business. And then we can start moving into what is my favorite, okay, which we're going to get into, which is IP memberships, okay? Now, IP memberships, now we're starting to create a program based around what you do and be giving people information. Now, why I love podcasting, we're going to get into that through when we start talking about IP. I love books and I love podcasting. Why? Because you bring people in. Now, the other thing is, we charge $100 a month for our base program, Morning Coach. $100 a month, okay? It's a base program. What are they getting? They're getting a bunch of different things. We've got planners and structure and organization. Again, we've been doing this for 20 years, but the main thing they're getting is me in a paid podcast. And we're going to go over that. So that's the glue that handles it together. I don't even call it a podcast. I call it a coachcast. Why do I call it a coachcast? Because it's not a podcast. It's not free. It's not interviews. It's coaching to go with our plan. As we get into this deeper, I have an entire compass, which is basically a syllabus. It's an annual plan. So the reason that people are paying $100 a month is not only are they getting the plan and the structure and the organization, they're also getting me. That's my IP. That's Morning Coach. So the structure's there, and instead of paying me $10,000, they can pay $100 a month and still get me in the form of 15 minutes of audio content in the morning. You see how powerful that is? And so people are joining. And now the next step is, and we're evolving this. It's taken years. We've just hired a community manager. So not only that, now you have a community of people that are investing in themselves, some of the best people in the world, all over the world, working together. So now you have that value of it. Okay, so that's the IP membership. And we're going to get into that deep, but that's what you're offering. So again, going back to the beginning, what are we starting with? First step out of the gate in this plan is to start doing one-on-ones. Listening doesn't take a lot of time. You're listening to problems, you're solving problems. Okay, then as you get that going, you start building a list. You start putting stuff out there on social. We'll go through this. You start telling people what you do. You start becoming that expert in the marketplace. Now you start moving to groups, okay? Now that you start moving to groups, now you got a group going, things are going. You're now ready to start looking at your intellectual property memberships, and this is really powerful, okay? This is the scalability, the really where you create flexibility in your life. Now, and within the IP memberships, there's courses, okay? And we're going to go over that. Courses are a really great revenue stream. And then the one that I absolutely love is masterminds. Now, just so you know, in full disclosure, when I first heard of masterminds, I hated them. I'll tell you the story. I went to Jeff Walker's. He wanted me to speak. I get there. I meet all these people. I'm like, what are they doing? Why are these people getting together?
And I sat there and I spoke. I gave them what I did. This is years ago, right? This is probably 10 years ago when I was in my business. At the end of it, everybody's telling me, why don't you join? We want you in our group. You bring this energy. We want you there. And I was like, are these people crazy? Are they selling me Amway? What's going on? Why didn't they want me in this group? Well, I left. I went home to Florida. Everybody went home. I got to be friends with Susan Garrett, some amazing Michael Maidens in Australia. I made a lot of friends in that mastermind. And I watched them, and I watched their businesses grow, and I watched them develop. So much so over the next year, I was like, the following year, I'm like, man, I want to be around that energy. I want to be with that group. And so I called Jeff, and Jeff, it was 10,000 at the time. He goes, oh, it's 40,000 now. I'm like, 40,000 for a man? Are you crazy? He's like, yeah, it's 40. I paid it. For 2 years, it was the most amazing thing that I ever did. The only reason that I left that group is because I was flying out to Durango. It was a week at a time, 3 times a year, and it was just going to be a little too much travel for me. But I loved it, and I learned, and then I started my own, okay? And there's a couple different ways to do masterminds, and we're going to get into that. But my main big one, we had this was a few years ago. I had 40 people in a $40,000 a year mastermind. You can do the math there. That's another residual component. So there's a couple ways to do this. During COVID, I started one called the IIC, okay? And the way that I do masterminds is you start with a group of people, a certain number, let's say 5, and you start with a dollar amount, $500. Okay, this is not mine, this is Jeff Walker's. But then what happens is, after that 5, then it goes up to, let's say, $700 for the next couple group, okay, next 3 people. And then the next 3. And I like to limit these to 20. And my big one, I had 40, but that's an in-person. This is a virtual mastermind, okay, where we're getting together, we're working together. This is virtual. Again, what is this? How does this come in? Comes in way after group coaching and way after the IP membership, okay? There's a process to this. Don't try to do all this at once. It'll blow you away. There's just no way to do all of it at once. The only way that I'd ever tell you to do this is if you already built a business and you email me, say, JB, I already got a business. I need to learn some of the mastermind stuff. Then we can talk. But I would not do this right out of the gates, okay? So, but I want to show you what you're learning. This is all part of the 20K residual. This just goes above and beyond your 20K. Okay, so you have my international inner circle. So as people join, the money it gets higher and higher. This is not an in-person. Then my inner circle is one that I have in person. This one, like Jeff, very similar. The first 5 people pay 10K. Now, the way these work is that you're meeting in person. I'm actually in the basement in a virtual studio of a retreat center. I have a retreat center. I have a place in Colombia, a place in Florida, a place here, okay? This retreat center, people come 2 to 3 times a year, okay? They meet for 2 to 3 days, and you're building real relationships. First 5 people, but this one jumps to 15. This one goes by 5K, then 20K, then 25K, 30, 35, and then 40. Okay, that's how I got to 45K. We were actually at 45K in my other one. And if you go by 5, you got 15 members, you got 20 members, 25, 30, 35, and then 40. And that's where my big inner circle was pre-COVID. Okay, so I had this big group going, and you can do the math. It adds up. And people say, well, what about these first 5? What about these people down here that came in 3 years later? Well, the reason that they got in at so low is because they helped build the foundational value of the group. Okay, this whole mastermind model is a whole course structure in itself. But I want you to be getting this information so you can start thinking about where and what you're selling to the offers that you're going to be doing, okay? And we'll get into this. We'll get into this more. But so what do you have? And you've got your blueprint you can look at. The key is you have, the first thing is what? One-on-one, okay? We start one-on-one. Tell me about your problems. If you take one thing away from me today, that will change your business in your life. Okay, because you're going to start understanding. And when we get to step 5 and video 5, it's going to blow you away. By the way, you should come to a webinar. I'm telling you, I do these once in a while. You don't want to miss them. I'm not going to do a ton of them. Okay, then we go to what? Groups. Okay, once we have groups, we can move to the internet, but I would suggest cohorts. The reason I would suggest cohorts is you have a group of people for 4 weeks, a one-time payment that drives people into your IP membership. Okay, your IP membership is going to be what? If you're doing our model, you're going to be podcast centric. Okay, podcast centric, meaning the most value they're going to get is coming from you in a member only audio. Why audio? Another whole can of worms here. Video is a prejudice medium. People watch you, they judge you. Some people don't like me, they don't like the way I look. I get it. It's also a medium that you have to watch. You have to sit here and watch it. You're watching this, you have to sit here and watch it. It's also a medium that you can't take with you. I mean, people are now, they're starting to take their phones and listen a little more. I do, YouTube, but it's still hard. But and I think the most important thing, the production, the way you do it, you can take your iPad and you can plug in a microphone and it can be perfect. My first 3,000 episodes, and I've done 5,500. The first 3,000 were done with an Apogee mic, a little mic, and a baby sock. So it's so much easier from a production than having a whole studio and having to do this. Okay? Then once you have your IP, we then have virtual masterminds and we have in-person retreats. Now, you don't have to do any of these except for up here, right? I would say draw the line there. You don't even need to do the masterminds. But if you really understand the business that I'm teaching you, that I've been doing for 20 years, this is awesome because these are my people. I mean, I'm very selective of who I let in, and they know that. Like, it's very secretive. Like, these are people that I'm working with that are just absolutely killing it. Same with my one-on-ones. I'm very limited. Every once in a while, I'll send an email out. I'll say, hey, I'm taking on a client. And I get a ton of people. And I'm like, let me look and see who I want to work with because I'm only choosing those people that get it. I don't want to be accountability and working with that. And then, but if somebody says, hey, JB, I need help, well, then go and do Morning Coach and start working at Morning Coach $100 and get yourself organized and structured. One of the big things with Morning Coach is people are always chasing a shiny object. So one of the big things we have is the ability to help people stop that. And it's a really big problem solver. So you're going to get your problems. So your homework right now is to get problems. Get problems. Because what goes next, okay, and this is a lot, and again, I got more resources coming, is we're going to talk about the ascension, okay? So when it comes to the ascension model, you can get this in the blueprint. This is what we work with. And a lot of my clients will actually print this out and have it on their wall, a big wall. Because basically what it is it's going to be what you're producing for free or social media and things that you're doing. And then what are you charging to get yourself if we're trying to get to 20K residual? Okay, so you're going to see that there's a $100,000 product up there. I have friends that have $1 million products. Do I have a $100,000 product? Yes, I have a $100,000 coaching product that we use, that we work with companies. I'm not even going to go into that, okay? Let's stick with the base model. Right now, what we need to work with is something in this $100 to $1,000 range, which would be what? One-on-one coaching, and then maybe some group coaching. And I'm not going to get too much more into that because eventually you're going to have the IP membership somewhere in here. It could be anywhere. I started at 20 to $100, right? Maybe 200, maybe 500, somewhere, depending on the problem you solve. If you sharpen pencils, that problem is not as much as doing brain surgery. Value is a weird thing. Like, we've got to understand the value of what you're doing, but we're going to find it in there. And then what we're going to do is start bringing people in through different mediums into these areas. Again, the first one being one-on-one. So what could this look like? What could this look like? Okay, let's slow down a little bit. This could look like very simple. If you look what I did with this, okay, the blueprint. All I did was put a Facebook post up. I said, hey, I'm giving away the free blueprint right here. That's you, okay? You're right there. Now, I have all these other products. I'm not even showing to you. Why? Because I believe in value. I believe if you get to know me, like me, and trust me, you're going to say, JB, I'm ready to want something else, whatever it is. You're going to be like, hey, JB, would coach me? Or you might say, hey, JB, I don't care. You know, I don't like you. You know, you look weird, whatever it is, right? And you may leave. But we want to have an ascension, right? We want to build something where you're coming through. So here was a Facebook post, and let's say, just hypothetically, I'm not taking one-on-one customers, but let's say you're like, JB, I need your help. And I look at your business, I'm like, okay, what are your problems? Tell me your problems. I'm an author, I can't build. Like, I can't get the residual income aspect of this. Wow, you have problems, I get it. I've been there. I wrote my first book, it sucks. I can help you with that. What would it be worth to you for me if we could build a residual income business for you? Be worth a lot, wouldn't it? All right, well then let's work together at $1,000 a month. Actually, it'd be $2,000 because it's business. at $2,000 a month to get that working for you. Let's do 6 months, no contract. If you work with me for a month and you don't like me, you think I smell or something's wrong, you leave, we're good. Let's try to do that at 6 months. Now, with some of my clients, I actually drop them down a little bit, but most of my clients, what we do is once they start really killing it, they just stay with me. But I have some clients that are doing health things too. I have a client that lost 50 pounds. So everybody's dealing with different things. So everything's different. But point being, I put a Facebook post up for free. Somebody got into my system and then reaches out to me and says, hey, can you help me? And I say, okay, let's do a call. Let's do a call. Tell me about your problems. Tell me about your problems. Now let's say somebody else does it. Okay, let's say you're here and you're like, man, I would like to do that. And I say, okay, well, give me a call. And you say, well, you know what? One-on-one's a little bit of a stretch for me right now, but I have $500. Okay, well, why don't you come into one of my group coachings and we can help you? Okay, you see how this works? It's not rocket science, but it is. Like, as I started putting the blueprint together, I'm like, I can't wait to teach this. And then I started putting together, I'm like, wow, there are layers upon layers upon this. Yes, because I do it every day. It seems easy, but I get it how it can be daunting. But once we get this done, you have a whole sheet of people. Again, like I said, I think I'm at 21. I don't want to overstate. I was at 18 to 21 somewhere. I lost an income stream. I gained one. I'm doing Amazon affiliates right now, so YouTube's killing it for me. So there's income coming in all these different levels. But what the most important thing that I want you to get out of this is that we are building an ascending model of value. An ascending model of value. And sometimes the free is the most important thing. Because if I can get you just to understand these concepts and you get 3 clients, and all of a sudden you're starting to figure it out and you start your group and you start doing Kajabi and it starts working for you, guess what? You're going to be calling me. You're going to be like, how can I scale this? And I'm going to say, okay, let's get you into something to help, which I don't even have right now. That'll be income stream number 22, right? I'm not worried about that. I want to give value to you because I know so many people are struggling in this residual area, and I want to make sure you get this. Okay, because so many people are doing it wrong. Now, with one thing I want to tell you, one caveat, sometimes the best thing to do is have $100,000 product. That's the opposite of the ascension model, meaning you just have a super high dollar product and that's what you're focused on. Less sales, more money. And I'll tell you, a lot of times the higher dollar client is much better than the lower dollar client. They just have less problems. They're looking for a few things. So that could be a part of it. And there's a couple different ways to work this model. But again, it all goes back to the one-on-one. It all goes back to understanding the problems that you solve and then being able to have the conversation. What is it worth to you? Somebody turning their business around where they're getting ready to lose their business and being able to bring their business back is worth a lot of money. Okay, there's a lot of scenarios. Somebody that's laying on the road and they need, surgery and you have the ability to do that, that's worth a lot of money. Value is a very weird thing. So sometimes having that high dollar offer, I don't want to take that away. So if you're a coach going, or somebody that teaches some of these programs, I'm not hammering on anybody. I just want to give you the goods. I've been doing this for 20 years. I actually do this, okay? I actually do this. It's not that I just teach it. I really have never taught it before. I actually have built a business. A lot of people teaching this stuff don't actually do it. In theory, there's a lot of things that look great, but when it comes to the actual work that gets done, it gets challenging. That's why you can't lose with one-on-one and really starting to understand the problems of the people. Okay, so that's the ascension model. You can get that. Now, the next step that we're going to talk about in the next video is the communication channels, and they fall down here. Okay, so the communication channels are what you're going to be doing to bring people in, and then we're going to get into the IP membership and building your intellectual property, and that's going to be really podcast-centric because that's what I do, but I'll talk about some other areas. But we're going to talk about the communication to get people in here. But you need to start understanding your core offers. Now in Kajabi, you can make your core offers really easy. You just go into sales, click offer, and you can make an offer. And what you should do right now, if you've got Kajabi, is make the one-on-one offer. And you just need to start talking to people. Hey, what are your problems? What's going on? And look, out of the gate, don't feel bad if you don't get a lot of traction. This stuff takes time. It's one of the reasons I like a book. Because a book, as we get into IP stuff in step 4, helps you nail down your terminology, helps you nail down the problems that you're solving. All of this goes back to education and meaning personal education and the way that you are able to communicate. It's really important. And as you do that, you'll get better and better at it. Sometimes it takes a little time for your own personal growth. And that's why we have morning coaching the systems that we have. But you can do this if you've got a body of knowledge that can be transferred to another person, or you're somebody that wants to work with somebody else and you're able to identify their problems. And again, go through that process. Look in the mirror and practice this. Tell me about your problems. Wow, you got problems. How much is it worth to you? This is the hardest question. How much is it worth to you if I solve those problems? Most people won't answer. That's a tough one, right? Because now we're getting the money thing. Okay, great. I know it's worth a lot to you. You didn't need to answer. Here's the deal. My normal rate is $1,000 a month. We can help you, no contracts, nothing. And you've solidified some value in their mind. Now you got a one-on-one. Now you're starting to work with that one-on-one. Okay, and we can get into the structure of that. I do trusted advisor coaching, meaning I don't have times on my schedule or calendar. I don't want them there. My clients contact me when they need me. It's a totally different model than most people use, but it's a stress-free model. Stress-free for them. Most of my clients are super busy. On a Monday, they don't want an 11 o'clock call with me. That's the last thing they want on their calendar. They want to call me when they need me. Okay, so that's an important concept. But guess what? Every time that I'm learning, well, these are the problems, these are the issues, and I'm building resources based on that. Just like this. The reason I'm building this is because I had clients said, JB, I really need help. You're really teaching me, but I need some structure. I said, okay, well, let me put the videos together. Threw it out on Facebook, 500 plus people immediately said, JB, I want the blueprint. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's time to bring these out and start talking about them. Okay, so as we get deeper into this, that's what's going to happen with the blueprint. It's going to get better and better because I'm going to be listening and bringing in the questions. That's why I'm doing webinars, because webinars allow me to listen so I can make this even better from a give standpoint, from the go-giver, so I can give value, more value. How can I give more value? Because the more people I can get into my model that are actually doing it out there and successful, the better it's going to help my business. Okay, so hey, have a great one. I know this video is a long one. These videos are going to be a little long. Get your notepads out, watch it again, take notes, but you understand where you're at. We need that one-on-one offer, okay? And if you already got that, great. Let's get the group offer. And if you're ready, we're going to get into communication channels, which is a really awesome video in the next video. And then we're going to get into the IP membership, which is going to blow you away. That's where I'm obviously made most of my money over the years since 2009. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Go do it to it.